All right, guys, this is Ryan McArdle, partner at the Palomar Group, an investment sales firm out of Augusta, Georgia. Today, our guest on our new series, the Palomar Perspective, is Dave Wik of Phillips Edison. Dave is the Senior Vice President of Acquisitions and Dispositions, overseeing PECO's acquisition of over $3 billion in assets over the past 10 years and helping grow PECO to be one of the industry's leading owners of grocery-anchored shopping centers in the country. I want to start out by giving a little history of our relationship with Dave and the team at PECO. About 9 years ago, Dave and I met at a small regional ICSC. Dave had just come back to work at PECO, I believe, and my partners and I were just starting to make the move from development into the investment sales side of the business. We didn't know much about the business at the time and didn't have a lot in the way of assets that were an ideal fit for PECO. But that being said, we're talking with Dave and learning a little bit more about the needs of PECO and their portfolio expansion plans at the time. We set out off to identify some off-market opportunities for them across the Southeast. By knocking on doors and just talking to guys in the Southeast that we knew. And then fast forward to today, it's pretty unbelievable that, we've been blessed to have worked on, I think, about over $200 million in deals together and have grown to form some of our closest friendships in the business with the PECO team. And so, Dave, thanks for joining us today. Couldn't be happier to have you on.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. It's fun to walk down memory lane because it does seem like a long time ago, and a pretty benign, innocent little meeting in the halls of Nashville ICSC, and kind of what it's turned into, which I think is one of the cool things about this business, is just how relationships could form, and then just how they develop and turn into opportunity. And not only that, but it turned into friendships. And, PECO's had a great friendship with the Palomar guys for a long time, and certainly appreciate and I'm honored to be on this, given some of the past distinguished guests. So thanks for having me on this morning.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So first things first, how are you, Shannon, and the family doing up in Cincy through this shutdown?
Everybody's good. Everybody's good here. We're, having a couple of teenage boys is tough, trying to keep them locked down in the house, especially once they start driving. So the quarantining has been probably our biggest challenge. You think buying and selling shopping centers is tough right now? Try keeping some teenage boys at home, but everybody's healthy, which is good.
I bet. Well, I'm sure it's not not even close to as loud as my house with 5 under 8 running around every day.
I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
There's no way I could be having this call from home like you are right now. There's no chance. We've got 5 at home, a dog, and 6 ducks we just brought in prior to Easter. So it's mass chaos over there.
That's ridiculous. I love all these memes where you see people saying, "Where are all the people talking about how kids are the best thing ever? Where are those people now?" You don't hear anything from them anymore.
That's great. Well, let's jump into a section that we've been calling underwriting. This is a section of the call that we're just kind of loosely talking about some different things, pull back the curtain a little bit and get to know you. First off, you've been back with PECO now for about 10 years, correct?
Yep.
What is the most memorable experience you have while you've been there?
Oh man, are you talking professionally or fun?
Professionally. As PECO's grown, what's probably been the most memorable thing to you in your career there?
I think honestly, just the people, just seeing people grow, people that you and I know very well and have known well for years, just having a role in seeing them grow and develop, people that come into the company right out of college and are now some of the most seasoned veteran, some of the best people in the business now. So it's just fun, I think, to be a part of that development. And I take a lot more joy in that, in seeing people grow than than buying more shopping centers. So that's
Yeah.
been, I think, the best experience.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, to that same point, what's been the biggest change that you've seen as you all have continued to grow over the past 10 years?
Well, I mean, actually, I started with PECO in 2003 and was there for 4 years and left and came back. And, you look back to 2003 and just think about the number one, there were around 30 people in the company. We were in a really small office building that we had built. And, now we're in a 4-story office building, taking up almost the whole thing, 300 associates, over 300 assets. But I just think, number one, the quality of assets that we have, the quality of the portfolio that we've been able to build, I think has just grown tremendously. And number two, just the level of sophistication. When you're almost 17 years ago, you have a lot of people that don't have a lot of experience, where now a lot of those same people are here, and you add all of that experience, and as well as just technology and the data that we have access to now. So I just think our decision making is just a lot more sophisticated now than it was 15 plus years ago.
Yeah. And you see that, right? Even going to ICSCs and stuff. I mean, it's inevitable that at every show you probably got, whether it's a marketing, asset management, dispositions, acquisitions, member of y'all's team is on some panel at all these conventions and stuff. So you're right. I mean, you end up growing in that 15-year span to be market leaders and industry experts on different matters, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
You personally, what throughout this shutdown period, what has been the biggest change in your routine over the course of the shutdown?
Man, I've never been a big work from home person. I just know myself. I just number one, I like to be around other people. So just being kind of isolated has certainly been a challenge. And number two, just the discipline of having a routine. And I've got four kids like you. I've got 4 kids running around the house, and everybody's here all the time. So I think just that change, having to figure out how to be productive and do so from your house, where you're typically is where you're relaxing.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how people do it either. And obviously, as you know, we don't have a huge staff here at Palomar, but even if it's just yourself in the office, it's amazing how much more focused you can be outside of your home, for me anyways, than I can be inside my home. I mean, I talk about it all the time, and that even just going to get a new cup of coffee upstairs at my house, you inevitably end up finding different things to do, right? Or you're helping the kid do X, Y, and Z, and it takes you 20 minutes to get back to what you were working on, or get your mind refocused, right? So I don't know how the people who do it every day do it,
Yeah, no, I think it's certainly a discipline that takes some routine and doing it over and over again in order to be able to be good at it. Yeah. My issue is finding my way to the pantry, where there's always food that I don't need, but somehow find my way to eat it.
So I hear you. Lastly, this week, as you know well, was supposed to be Masters Week in Augusta. Unfortunately, it's gotten postponed in November. There's a lot of depression going on in town in Augusta, and I'm sure throughout the country because of that. Obviously, as is in the past, you and I and other guys would typically be at the course today or yesterday, lining up probably the first beers of the day around lunchtime. And as I said, you've been to the tournament many times. What has been your most memorable story you have from the event that would be shareable on this format?
Well, I think I can. Man, that's a tough question. I got to tread carefully here. Well, there's certainly been some good ones. I feel like there are a lot that end up with with kind of feats of strength wagers that seem to happen, and they tend to always be coming from you guys or from one of your esteemed partners. But a couple of good ones are a foot race that one of my colleagues got in with one of the self-proclaimed fastest teenagers in Augusta, and didn't go so well as he fell face first a couple steps into the race.
It's funny how that happens when you get a bunch of guys together and everybody keeps trying to prove that they've still got it, whatever it ever was.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other it was, started with a discussion around a dinner table about who was the strongest and who could bench the most. Well, clearly nobody's got a bench press and some weights in their restaurant. So just discussion around, well, how many times could you think you could bench press me? And that person ended up that bet went on, not in the restaurant, but out on the lawn of somebody's house. And so those are some good memories.
No, those are good. What with the tournament itself, what's your favorite part about going to the tournament from the golf perspective or from the event perspective?
Oh, I just love if you're a sports fan at all, whether you're a golf fan or not, just the history of it. I love how close you're able to get to the players, and just the natural beauty of it too. Just walking around the grounds and knowing that it hasn't really changed a ton, over the years, and just the history of it. I just love it. Everything about it.
Well, last question, staying on topic with the tournament. If given one option from the concession stand between the following, what would you choose? A minute cheese sandwich, a peach ice cream sandwich, or a moon pie?
Oh, I got to go with the peach ice cream sandwich. Ice cream is my weakness. Couldn't pass that up.
Good. All right, we'll jump into just talk about the market a little bit real quickly. Obviously everybody's it's on everybody's minds right now in our business. You guys at PECO currently own over 330 centers, totaling over 37 million square feet of grocery-anchored assets across the country. As this shutdown has had some dramatic effects on the retail industry, what is PECO doing to address those issues with you all's tenants?
Yeah, clearly tenants, we actually internally refer to them as neighbors. The tenants are the lifeblood of our business. And so like everybody that owns a shopping center right now, we're being proactive. We're reaching out to the tenants, making sure that they've got access to all the government assistance programs that are out there, trying to help them navigate through those, and really just want to make sure that we're being a good partner. I mean, we really do view our tenants as our partners, so trying to help them out as much as we possibly can. Clearly we rely on them to pay rent, so that we can pay our bills and pay our mortgage. So there's a balance there. So our goal is really to do everything we can to help them succeed, so that they'll be able to continue to pay rent.
Yeah. And on that topic, what do you think the effects? I mean, obviously, some tenants have had to close up. Some tenants have experienced a huge bump in sales, like your grocers and your pharmacies and your dollar stores and craft stores and some of those guys. There's been a lot of discussion over the past year, especially with a handful of grocers in the Southeast that we see every day, who maybe have been struggling or holding on for the last couple of years. What do you think this bump in sales for some of those guys does? Do you think it gives them, some of those struggling grocers, a lifeline for the next few years to kind of reboot, or what do you think it does for them?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I think it certainly has to help, right? I think the only issue with that is I think a lot of what they're selling is fairly low margin. It's already such a low margin business anyway. Mm-hmm. And so you sell more you sell more of something that you're selling at a low margin. It doesn't necessarily strengthen your balance sheet all that much.
Yeah.
I think it will continue to be an operational issue. The strong operators and the strong operators that have a strong balance sheet, they're the ones that are going to be able to not only survive but thrive and take advantage of all of the changes, the e-commerce changes that we've seen over the last few years. It's the operators that are willing to embrace that change and have the balance sheet to invest in that change. And I don't know that any of that is really changing for any of those operators that you're talking about.
Yeah, that's good points. With the state of the market in flux a little bit right now, or on pause, what do you anticipate the deal flow for you all being on the acquisitions and dispositions side over the next 12 months?
Yeah, on the disposition side, I mean, we've got a number of deals that we have in the market, and we're trying to work through each of those with the buyers that we're either under contract with or negotiating contracts with. Like you have seen and your partners have seen, a lot of groups are just pressing the pause button and saying, let's wait and see, how long it takes to come out of this. Let's wait and see how long it takes for retailers to open back up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's certainly some of that going on. So it's really hard to project on the disposition side. On the acquisition side, I mean, anytime there's a major disruption, there is certainly opportunity out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what our group is focusing on, is where is there opportunity. I do think that I personally think that it's going to take a little bit of time to see that opportunity. I think banks are going to be flexible with borrowers. I think just kick the can down the road a little bit if they need to, if they've got loans that are maturing. So yeah, I think unless you have to sell or you have to buy something right now, I think it's a tough time to do so unless you're getting a great deal on one side or the other of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And how quickly do you think we get out of this thing? Obviously, I think that people on the news and on blogs and LinkedIn and everything are having this discussion every day, and everybody's views different, right? We're going to be back to work next weekend, or we're going to be back to work in a month, and things are going to be normal by the fourth quarter. What's your best guess, do you think, as to when we return to a normal in our market, in our particular business?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an optimist by nature, and I mean, I would love to see us getting back to work and in our offices, in early May. I think in terms of getting back to normal from a retail and a shopping and going to sporting events and going to concerts, I mean, that seems like it's months away still.
Yeah. Yeah. And on top of the things that are happening with some of these tenants and stuff, my partner Steve and I were talking this morning about it, about some of these small shop tenants and when they're going to whether there's a federal mandate or not, whether they're just going to start going back to work and saying, hey, I've got to open my doors. And I'll probably tell my employees that they can come or not, it's up to them, but I've got to reopen and go back to business, even if it's put me at risk. To that point, there's a lot of fear in the market today about how many tenants shopping centers may lose. A part of me thinks that that's going to be significantly overplayed, and that because everything's been shut down, there's not a lot of opportunities for a business owner or a shop owner to say, hey, I can't reopen my business. I've got to go get a job here instead, because everybody's had the same situation. What are your thoughts on, do you think we're going to see as many small shop closures as is getting put out there, or the fear that you hear in the news? Or do you think the vast majority of guys are, because of the partnerships with landlords and the tenants and the banks, are going to figure it out and say, hey, look, it's been tough to press the pause button for 2 months, but my only choice is to go back to work and open my store up, open my restaurant up, and figure out how to get back in business and get things back up to speed?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, it all comes down to cash flow, right? Especially for these small businesses, and especially if you're a tenant that owns one shop. I mean, it all comes down to cash flow. And so, number one, I think, depending upon how lenient or how willing landlords are to work with those tenants, so that they can try to continue to at least maintain that cash flow. And number two is the strength of their balance sheets. I mean, do they have a balance sheet that they can hold on for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? And the third part of that is the government assistance. I mean, is it really going to make enough difference for those tenants that it can impact that cash flow, it can impact their balance sheet, so that they can continue to live a life and pay their fixed expenses while they wait to be able to reopen.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. All right, well, we'll finish this thing off, man, and jump into our last portion of this segment that we've been doing and that we've been calling the common area. All right, so I want you shooting from the hip. First thing comes to mind, and even if you have a little color to it, you can throw a little color in there as well. So we're going to go with something we haven't done with anybody else and do senior superlatives in the industry. Okay. Got a couple of them. First girl that comes to mind. First one will be smartest person in the industry. You can't say your boss.
Besides Bob Myers and Jeff Edison, I'm gonna go with Will Ponder. A lot of respect for Will Ponder. Worked with him for a number of years, and he also, he likes to be thought of as the smartest guy. So I want
he'll appreciate that. I think he will appreciate that. All right. Most likely to be brought home to mom in the industry.
That's a tough one. I would think first guy that comes to mind is Ashby Hackney.
I like that.
Pretty by the book, pretty straight laced.
I like that.
If I had a daughter, I would want her bringing home somebody like Ashby.
That's right. No parent could be upset with that when he came through the doors, right?
Yep.
I like that. All right, a couple more of most athletic, other than me.
Man, this is tough because I don't want to give anybody, a big head, right? Let's see. I tend to think,
and we're in a big confidence type business that people were around, so it may hurt some feelings here. You throw somebody out.
The most athletic. Some of those are sneaky athletic. You got guys like David Webb, who you look at him, you talk to him, you not think he's athletic, but he was one of the best tennis players in the state at one point. Obviously, your partner, one of your partners, Mr. Rivers, played in the NFL. And I can't have him be the one. That's just that'd be too much props for him.
Well, he's going to be upset that you just compared him to an all-star tennis player, David Wik.
Well, then good. That's how he should be. I don't know. Who do you think? What do you have?
I don't know. I think as much as I would agree with you, and I hate to say it, I think you're probably pretty hard pressed to beat Mr. Rivers in anything athletic.
I would like to see him and Chris Sloat wrestle at some point.
I like that. All right, next. Most likely to succeed.
So many guys that we're talking about are already so successful, right?
Yeah.
They've already experienced a level of success, so kind of have to go down to the next generation of guys, of people, right?
Yeah.
Most likely to succeed in this business or in general?
In our business. And it can be junior guys. It's probably, like you said, it probably makes more sense to be junior guys.
Yeah, I like some of these guys that that are energetic and have at a pretty young age decided to go off on their own and start their own thing. There's a guy named Aaron Zucker who was doing that.
You're dropping all the social media names. It's just going to get this video tons of play and tons of love in the social media market. No, but I agree with that. Aaron's done. Aaron used to be with you all, 2-3 years ago, maybe more than that, 5 years ago, something like that.
A little longer ago. Yeah. And I do think. I mean, I think we've got a number of younger guys and younger people in our company that. I mean, you tend to again think of the guys, the people that you know well, and there's some people at Phillips Edison that I don't want to encourage them to leave the company. So I won't mention any names, but yeah, I think there are a lot of young people in the business that are sharp and motivated.
Yeah. We're in a fortunate business for that, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, most of the people that I work with on a regular basis have already achieved some level of success. So
Right. All right, last one, but probably the most important one, and the one that will get somebody furthest in life. Best hair in the biz.
Well, clearly not anybody on this call. Man, your other partner who hasn't been mentioned yet is really, really tough to beat in that category is Steve Collins.
He's taken a lot of pride in it over the last few years.
I mean, every time I see him, I want to figure out. I need to find out what product he uses, but I should certainly be investing in it.
I think he's going to the camp of Joe McGuire, and he's trying to catch him. So I think his mentor in that department may be Joe McGuire. So he may be the.
That is a solid second.
Oh, good. Well, Dave, thanks for joining me this morning, my man. Always good to catch up. Glad you and the family and the team are doing well. Hope you guys stay safe and healthy over the next few weeks. If you're watching this and would like to have a conversation on how the Palomar Group can help you navigate what to do with your investment real estate, please visit thepalomargroup.com and contact any member of our team. Thanks again, Dave. Good catching up with you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Ryan.
Yeah, man.